What happens when the world's reigning pop star raises her right hand and vows to tell everything she's seen, no matter how high the empire she topples? That's exactly where Taylor Swift found herself this morning, standing just a few feet from Sean Diddy Combs, the mogul whose velvet rope legend now hangs by the thinnest legal thread. Courtroom whisperers claim she delivered a flash drive that could vaporize decades of carefully hidden deals. Prosecutors are calling it a keystone, defense attorneys scoff at a pop star publicity play, and fans are left wondering why a woman who fills stadiums would risk stepping onto this explosive stage. Rumours suggest the fuse was lit at a glitter-drenched charity gala last October, one of those invite-only nights where champagne towers sparkle harder than the A-list jewellery. Taylor slipped in through a side entrance, low profile in midnight velvet, while Diddy held court near the DJ booth, laughing over contracts only he could sign. Somewhere between the silent auction paddle waves and the midnight toast, insiders claim Taylor crossed the dance floor with purpose, pausing beside a man who looked more security than sommelier. Witnesses remember a quick handshake, a nervous smile, and something small passing between their palms. A matted black thumb drive no bigger than a backstage pass. Reports claim that drive contained raw footage, grainy but unmistakable, of a private after-rehearsal soiree in Diddy's Los Angeles mansion. In it, say prosecutors, nervous newcomers line a marble hallway while a hidden speaker issues instructions about phones, clothes, and earning trust. It's been said the clip shows a young backup dancer sobbing, begging to leave, and a bodyguard blocking the exit with a casual "House rules, sweetheart." If authentic, that single file could corroborate years of whispered payoffs and NDAs, the paper trail suddenly upgraded to pixels. Taylor's reason for possessing it remains unclear. Some theorize a concerned insider slipped her the drive months earlier, trusting her platform more than any detective's badge. Whatever the motive, the moment she surrendered it to federal agents, the case's centre of gravity shifted. And that was only the first breadcrumb, because the footage, prosecutors hint, is merely the trailer to a much darker feature. But the drive was just the appetizer. What truly froze the courtroom was Taylor's account of a single night in 2014, minutes after the Grammy telecast faded to black. She and a cluster of artists snagged a last-minute invite to Diddy's hillside after-party, a mansion lit neon pink where the valet lines looked like award show red carpets. Swift expected cocktails and networking. Instead, she says, the atmosphere felt closer to an initiation rite. The first red flag? Security collected every phone in velvet pouches, then waved guests through metal detectors to keep everyone safe. Seconds later, champagne flutes arrived already half empty, laced, according to Taylor, with an unfamiliar, bitter kick. She claims a producer whispered, "Sip slow, it creeps up." Moments later, the bass dropped, lights dimmed, and the host allegedly announced, "Tonight, nobody's a spectator." Taylor told jurors she watched a newly signed singer, called her starlet ex, pulled onto a low stage framed by blackout curtains. A masked videographer tracked her every move, while two dancers guided her through choreography that turned frighteningly personal. When starlet X tried to step off, Taylor says Diddy blocked the exit, joking, "Earn your mic time, darling." The room cheered, but Swift spotted tears sparkling under the strobes. Feeling the walls close in, Taylor slipped toward a side corridor. That's where she claims she saw the makeshift control booth, a laptop array streaming live feeds from rooms upstairs. Monitors flickered with scenes that looked less like partying and more like leverage being gathered in real time. She left before midnight, heart hammering, telling her driver to keep every window down to breathe off the nightmare. But that wasn't the whole story. The real shock surfaced when hush money envelopes entered the picture and Taylor discovered exactly how silence gets priced. Leaving that glamour-turned gauntlet didn't erase it from Taylor's mind. It sent her hunting for patterns. Weeks after the after-party, she says a veteran tour accountant tipped her off to a rumour. Envelopes of crisp hundreds routinely changed hands whenever a guest seemed rattled. At first it sounded like tabloid lore, until she glimpsed one herself. According to her sworn statement, Taylor returned to Diddy's studio complex in early 2015 to negotiate a songwriting collaboration. While waiting in a glass-walled lounge, she spotted the mogul's chief of staff slide a thick ivory envelope across a low table towards Starlet X's anxious manager. No contracts, no notary, just a murmured, "We good," and a nod. The manager tucked the cash into a guitar case, hustled the singer out, and the matter appeared settled. Curiosity piqued. Swift later confronted a technician who'd mixed background vocals that night. The engineer allegedly revealed a shadow accounting file nicknamed Garden Ledger, tracking payouts by date, venue code, and a cryptic two-letter tag for each recipient. Rumours suggest that document lists sums from $10,000 hush stipends to six-figure lifetime loyalty bonuses routed through shell charities in the Caymans. Prosecutors claim the thumb drive Taylor eventually surrendered contains screenshots of that very spreadsheet, time-stamped, unredacted, impossible to ignore. Why involve herself? Swift told the court it was the look on Starlet X's face, a cocktail of shame and relief that haunted her tour bus nights later. "Silence shouldn't cost more than speaking," she testified, voice trembling but clear. Her decision to expose the ledger cracked open a vault many thought was welded shut. But hush money alone doesn't hold people in line, especially superstars with their own empires. The next layer, prosecutors argue, is far more chilling: surveillance that turns secrets into shackles. Imagine walking through a mansion where every chandelier hides a blinking eye. That's the picture Taylor painted when prosecutors asked how Combs kept his inner circle silent long after the cash changed hands. She called it the Velvet Cam Network, tiny matte black domes nested behind speaker grills, tucked into smoke detectors, even stitched beneath the VIP lounge bar. Swift testified a jittery audio engineer first tipped her off, "Smile for the ghost crew, they're always rolling." Later that night, curiosity steered her down a marble corridor and into a utility alcove glowing blue. On a steel rack sat 4 monitors tiled with real-time feeds, bedrooms, hallways, a rooftop jacuzzi. In one quadrant, she recognized herself laughing near the punch bowl, time-stamped to the minute. Another pane showed Starlet X wiping mascara while a bodyguard blocked the exit. When Diddy breezed in, she claims, he flashed a grin and tapped the screen. "I don't delete receipts." Reports claim tech staff called the encrypted archive Vault B, a server that mirrored footage to an offshore cloud every dawn. Prosecutors say metadata from that vault aligns almost perfectly with the Garden Ledger payouts, proof that video leverage and hush cash danced in lockstep. The defense scoffed, branding the cams normal security, yet agents seized 12 terabytes of clips during last year's Homeland raids, and the judge hasn't ruled them inadmissible. Swift admitted the moment she saw her own image framed by red record icons, dread replaced anger. If even she, armed with legal teams and chart power, could be filmed without consent, what chance did newcomers have? But the cameras were only the first layer of control. The 2 a.m. phone calls and veiled business threats would ratchet the pressure far higher. Cameras may capture compromise, but they don't cancel stadium dates. Phones do. Taylor told jurors the intimidation escalated the instant whispers surfaced that she'd met with federal agents. Her publicist logged the first call at 1:17 a.m. A digit-scrambled voice warning, "Back off, or your stadium insurance evaporates." Within 48 hours, an underwriter for the Asian leg of the Eras tour suddenly reviewed coverage and proposed a 300% premium spike. Corporate records later showed the brokerage sat under a shell company managed by a long-time bad boy consultant. Coincidence? The defense insists yes, requisitioned emails paint a different story. The squeeze wasn't limited to policies. Reports claim a beverage sponsor received a discreet memo listing reputational risks of partnering with Swift until ongoing litigation hysteria cools. By sunrise, the deal was on hold until Taylor's attorneys threatened breach of contract action and the company sheepishly reinstated the campaign. She testified that a veteran promoter, eyes glassy with fatigue, admitted he'd fielded anonymous threats hinting venues might lose fire permits if her testimony went forward. But perhaps the most chilling example came from Starlet X herself. In a sealed deposition excerpt read aloud, she described a late-night text, a photo of her mother's small bakery, the caption, "Cute shop, shame if rent spiked." The very next morning, the landlord issued a surprise lease renegotiation. Swift's voice wavered, recounting that moment. Fear travels faster than truth, and these people trafficked fear across every Wi-Fi network. Yet, as jurors leaned in, she added a twist. The intimidation campaign backfired. Instead of silence, it triggered a chorus of industry allies quietly rallying behind her. And when those allies began leveraging their own platforms, the aftershocks rattled boardrooms far beyond Diddy's mansion, setting the stage for the seismic shift in the industry. The moment Taylor's affidavit hit the public docket, the music ecosystem flickered like a faulty amp. By dawn, Mute Diddy trended in 15 countries, while Church's Stand With Taylor ballooned past 2 million mentions. Numbers usually reserved for surprise album drops. Labels that once courted Diddy's production touch suddenly treated his name like a live wire. One Powerhouse A&R executive quietly circulated an internal memo urging staff to pause all pending collaborations until reputational clarity is achieved. Translation: cut the cord before the backlash sparks a wildfire. Streaming platforms reacted with surgeon-level speed. Rumours suggest at least 2 major services demoted Combs-linked tracks in algorithmic rotations, citing community sentiment metrics. Overnight, Bad Boy classics slid from prime playlists to digital backrooms, and catalogue streams dipped 8%, a tiny number in spreadsheets, a thunderclap in boardrooms. Investors noticed. Shares in a publicly traded rights fund that owns portions of Diddy's publishing shaved off $70 million in market value before lunchtime. But the biggest jolt, whispers that Diddy's team floated a fire sale of yet unreleased masters to offset mounting legal costs, an early sign the fortress might be liquidating its own bricks. As execs scrambled to model worst-case scenarios, prosecutors readied their star witness for the ultimate stress test, a high-stakes cross-examination that would either cement her credibility or crack it wide open. Day 5, 10:02 a.m. The courtroom felt airlocked as Malcolm Reyes, Diddy's lead counsel, rose with a stack of glossy magazines. His opening jab, "Miss Swift, you've built $1 billion brand on drama. Isn't today just a chart-topping sequel?" Taylor met the glare without blinking. "My albums tell stories," she answered, "but truth doesn't need a producer credit." Reyes pivoted fast. He flashed photos of Swift at award shows beside headlines touting her record-breaking tour. "You time your surprises perfectly. Albums at midnight, testimonies at peak press." The insinuation hung thick. She was milking the moment. Taylor leaned toward the mic. "If I wanted easy publicity," she said, voice steady, "I'd release another Vault track, not spend 10 hours under oath." A ripple of muffled laughter rippled through the gallery. The judge called for decorum but didn't hide a faint smile. Next, Reyes tried to poke holes in her memory. He replayed grainy security clips from the 2014 party. Wide angle, no sound, guests dancing under strobe haze. "Isn't it possible," he pressed, "that you misread harmless fun?" Swift locked eyes with the jury. "Fun isn't watching someone cry while a camera zooms in," she said. "If you need NDAs and blackout curtains, the vibe's not exactly carefree." The defence's last play, a leaked email from a tabloid offering 6 figures for exclusive Swift testimony months earlier. Reyes suggested she bartered her story. Taylor countered that her legal team forwarded the offer to prosecutors as evidence of witness tampering. Court records confirmed it. By noon, recess observers agreed. Reyes landed punches, but none drew blood. A legal analyst whispered, "He swung for credibility and missed the target. She parried every jab with receipts. Yet the battle isn't won by theatrics alone. Jurors still need tangible proof. And lurking in sealed evidence is a hard drive whose contents could tilt the scales entirely. Court resumed after lunch to a murmur that felt like incoming thunder. Prosecutors had decrypted Vault B. An FBI cyber forensics lead took the stand, clutching a chain of custody log thick as a phone book. The hard drive, cloned from Combs' mansion server, held 12 terabytes of time-stamped video. Only a sliver would be shown, just enough, the judge ruled, to establish context without turning the trial into a voyeur circus. The lights dimmed. A single 40-second clip appeared. It was dated February 9th, 2014, Grammy night. In night vision green, Starlet X stands on a low platform, visibly trembling. Off-frame, a voice that prosecutors say matches Combs instructs, "Perform or leave without the deal." No crowd cheers, no music plays, only the quiet hum of an air handler and the unmistakable sound of someone sobbing. When the clip ended, silence clung to the room like static. A juror wiped a tear, another scribbled furiously. Defense counsel leapt up, objecting that the footage lacked provenance, but the FBI expert confirmed metadata matched the mansion's router logs, an unbroken digital fingerprint. More damning, file properties showed the clip was accessed 5 times in the week after the Garden Ledger recorded a $50,000 payout to initials matching Starlet X. Coincidence felt thinner by the minute. Taylor watched from the witness gallery, jaw set, as the prosecution rested its evidentiary salvo. The judge recessed early, citing the emotional weight of the material, yet the hallway buzz suggested the tide had turned. One reporter texted simply, "Game changer." But courtroom tapes and ledger alignments are just half the battle. 12 jurors must still decide whether patterns equal guilt beyond doubt, and whether a pop titan's testimony illuminates or overshadows the facts. They will soon enter deliberations, and the music world holds its breath. And what happens next could rewrite the industry's rulebook forever. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.